Recording. Yeah? Awesome. Okay. Should we get straight into it? Good. Well, you're the new host now, so go on. Fine. Okay. So it's not episode 52, really, is it? It's just like a little special episode. Okay. Or is it episode 51A? Yeah? Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Culture Bucket. This is a interim episode, a drip from the bucket rather than a full splash today for you. We're going to discuss our plans for the future. Big things coming soon, as people like to say, to try and get interest, to try and convince people to be interested in what they're doing. Big things coming soon. Just plans, massive, huge, door-sized plans. And soon, like really soon. Like when Limp Bizkit say that they're going to release new music soon. That sort of soon. So, yeah, they put out a really terrible song like a month, 6 weeks after they said that. So that's sort of time frame. Soon. Yeah, soon. Big things coming soon. What are those things? Those things are change, shake-ups, excitement. I'm George. I forgot to introduce myself. That's how exciting it all is. I'm your host, George, and with me is co-host Alex. Hi, Alex. Yes. So excited. So, in a nutshell, we're still going to be doing Culture Bucket. It's not going anywhere. The same old bucket, but maybe slightly different. Culture is going to be being stored in it. Not different focus, but basically there's going to be less top fives coming your way, but still top fives. Don't panic. There'll still be top fives, but we're going to be doing more specials, which is exciting because we've done a lot of top fives now. We've done a year of top fives, and we've done our favourite movies and our favourite albums and favourite TV shows and video games and etc. And it's become more and more. Yeah, they're really fun, but it's becoming more of a challenge to think of sort of fresh new top fives to do. So instead of just doing top fives. Yeah, and we've really been enjoying the specials, and it seems like people have been listening to them, so we're going to sort of flip it slightly, and the ratio of specials to top fives is going to flip, and effectively the top fives will become the specials, and what is now a special will become a normal episode. You can keep up with this. This is fine. This is fine. E.g., we're going to take a break after this episode for a little bit, and we're going to come back in the middle of November, and we're going to come back with a top five and do some culture catch up, and that's going to be on our top five Radiohead songs. We're doing songs. Okay, top five. Yeah, I thought we were, but then you seemed to be unsure if you wanted. Songs. Okay, so we're going to come back with the top five Radiohead songs and some culture catch-up, and then we're going to do some slightly different specials to try out some different ways of chatting about culture. So we're going to come back with some specials on The White Lotus. I think we're going to do a 2-part special covering the first season of The White Lotus. Very excitedly, they've just announced that Jennifer Coolidge is returning for the second season of that, so that'll be help you prep for season 2 of The White Lotus. Yep. Courtney is the only cast member from the first season confirmed to return, and it is intended to be an anthology type thing with new characters each season. So I'm imagining that maybe she's going to be the only sort of familiar face, which is fine because she's a good one to have. And then we're gonna do a special about the new Idols album, which is coming out soon. And then we're going to do some sort of mini seasons of specials, talking about our favourite movies in certain genres, certain actors, directors, all sorts of things. But the idea being that hopefully we can do slightly deeper dives on things that we've both experienced and can have those sort of productive, interesting discussions around them. Sometimes agreeing, sometimes disagreeing. Isn't that fun? So, do continue to keep us in your podcast feeds. We're not going anywhere. It's hopefully going to be better. And as always, any feedback would be appreciated in terms of how you find us and what we're doing. And that's it for big announcements. Unless Alex has any. No? She's just staring. Nice. Films, music, primarily. Yeah. So, on that theme, because we're taking a little break, I just want to we're going to do a little quick culture catch up now to chat about some new things that I've seen. Do you have anything you wanted to bring to the table today, Alex, or? Well, that is fine. So we'll do that. I've got a MyTube that I want to share with Alex to see what she makes of it, and then we'll take a little break. So basically, it was a big cinema week this week in the UK because of Bond being released at the end of September. Every other movie took a little break so that to give Bond a chance to do his thing, which I think he's done fairly successfully. So then 15th of October in the UK was a big film week with not many, but 3 films I wanted to see being released. Then I've managed to watch all of them over the past 2 days, which is, what an exciting weekend it's been. Nice. So I'm not going to talk about them in the order that I saw them. I'm going to talk about them in the order of importance, or not even importance, just in an order I've artificially chosen. Starting with 2020, well, they're all 2021 movies. 2021's superhero movie, directed by Andy Serkis, starring Tom Hardy, Venom, Let There Be Carnage. The new Venom movie. Did you see the first Venom movie, Alex? No, why would you? Do you know anything about Venom? Do you know much about Venom? Is that... No, don't know what that is. Venom is a comic book character from Marvel. He's primarily sort of antagonist to Spider-Man, but he's also often an anti-hero in his own right. He's an alien symbiotic parasite thing that looks like a big kind of bundle of black goo. And basically, in the comics and in the first Venom movie, he arrives on Earth and ends up bonding with reporter Eddie Brock, played in the films by Tom Hardy, and together they turn into a sort of crime fighting team. But it's got a very the first Venom movie is bizarre because it's basically due to Sony not having Sony have got the rights to all the Spider-Man characters from Marvel, but only the Spider-Man characters. And because they've allowed the MCU to start using Spider-Man, they want to have their own superhero franchise movies using the Spider-Man characters. And the most popular of those is definitely Venom. So it took a while, but they finally put a Venom movie together. Tom Hardy plays him like a sort of Looney Tunes character. He brings his ability to do crazy voices to the table by voicing Venom, as well as the live-action Eddie Brock that he performs. So there's all these scenes where he's sort of talking to himself, and they kind of constantly have him looking like a sweaty mess in these movies. There's a very memorable... The best scene in the first Venom movie is this bit where just after he's bonded with Venom, he doesn't quite know what's wrong with him, and he storms into this very expensive seafood restaurant to talk to his girlfriend, played by Michelle Williams, or his ex-girlfriend, and ends up Michelle Williams. Blue Velvet. Not Laura Dern. Blue Valentine. Yes. Yeah, that Michelle Williams. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. She is normally a bit of an indie darling, but she's she can do Venom if she wants to, though. She's in her... Is it the movie with Ryan Gosling? I thought it was called Blue Valentine, yeah, but I've not seen it, so I don't know. Well, the Greatest Showman is not a indie movie, is it? That's a huge... No. But I guess she wanted to have some fun and have a big payday, so here she is. But yeah, she's pretty good in both films. She's not got a particularly exciting role, just the sort of love interest, but she does it well. I'd like to see her. She is good in them. It's a pity she doesn't get more to do, kind of thing. But yeah, in this one sequence in the first movie, he's gone to this seafood restaurant to find her, to ask her for help, and he ends up sort of attacking a bunch of people in there in a sort of very slapstick way, and then jumping into one of those big tanks they have full of lobsters and eating one of the lobsters, which is like, played for laughs because it's an insane idea that a man would do that in a restaurant. Anyway, the point of that is that these movies are weird and they have a weird tone to them, and they don't feel like the Marvel MCU movies. They feel much closer in spirit to 90s or early noughties superhero films like Ben Affleck's Daredevil movie, for example, and stuff like that. Which is kind of almost after a decade of the MCU movies that sort of are very polished and very sort of feel like they're produced by committees. To have something a bit weird and strange and odd is a bit of a breath of fresh air, but it's not very good. The first Venom movie is not great, but it's sort of fun because of Tom Hardy. And the same kind of ends up being true for this one. At the end of the first Venom movie introduced Woody Harrelson playing Cletus Cassidy, who is Venom's kind of primary antagonist in the... he turns into another symbiote called Carnage, who's like a red symbiote, whereas Venom's kind of black-coloured. So that was kind of the teaser for this movie, and then they announced the title of this movie was going to be Venom, Let There Be Carnage. So it's basically they're doing Carnage, and he's a massive character. He's a really popular villain in the Marvel kind of world, so everyone was kind of quite excited about the idea. And then Woody Harrelson playing the character, generally he's a brilliant actor, so everyone was really excited about that as well. And then the film, as I watched it the other day, sort of it does all the things that the first one did well. Again, Tom Hardy's very funny and entertaining and weird in it. His Venom voice continues to be bonkers. Like his performance as Venom is very, very strange and fun. And then Woody Harrelson gives a really game performance, and you want to like it. But they do things like, and this might be in the comics a bit, but it's not something I know the character for. They give him a love interest, played by Naomi. Is it Naomi Harris, who's in Moonlight? She's in it as a character called Shriek, who is a sort of love interest to Woody Harrelson's Cletus Cassidy character, Carnage. So the movie's kind of largely about him escaping from prison, turning to Carnage, and looking for Shriek, who he is in love with and was separated from as a child. The movie opens with a flashback sequence where Naomi Harris's character and Woody Harrelson's character are both young teenagers in a sort of foster home, and they get separated. So think about Woody Harrelson, think about Naomi Watts. What year do you think that flashback sequence might be set in? Where they're both young teenagers. Yeah, bearing in mind that Woody Harrelson is 60 and Naomi Watts is 45. So already there's a 15-year age difference between them. So already we're stretching reality by them both being the same age. But not 1985, Alex. The 1996. This... Sorry? I said Naomi Harris, didn't I? Oh, sorry, Naomi Harris. So Naomi Harris and Woody Harrelson were both teenagers in 1996. Yes, this is that kind of movie. But the effects, it's directed by Andy Serkis, who famously played Gollum in the Lord of the Rings movies and has a lot of experience with CGI and motion capture performances. And these characters of Venom and Carnage are fully motion captured or fully like CGI creations. So having someone like him in charge of it is a good move. He does it really well. Like those action sequences are fun, but it just ends up like. It's only an hour and a half long. I think it's 40 minutes before Woody Harrelson really gets going in it. It has a lot of filler. It feels like it has a lot of filler for a movie that's only 90 minutes long. And it ends up not really being any better than the first one. And considering that the first one, the villain was just not a non-entity, effectively. In this one, they were playing with the Venom's equivalent to the Joker, like the big villain for Venom. The fact that they sort of fumble it and don't really stick landing is a bit disappointing, but it is an entertaining movie. It has a post-credit sequence that is driving the internet out of their minds for good reason. I won't spoil what it is here, but it is the post-credit sequence is ultimately the most interesting thing about the movie because it kind of has a lot of implications for the Venom franchise moving forwards and stuff. So yeah, it's a bit of a disappointment, but never mind. It's also got, because Andy Serkis directed it, I think, it's got a lot of character, like actors in it that you wouldn't expect to see in a Hollywood movie, including like an actress who plays a character in EastEnders is in this movie. Stephen Graham is in this movie, and Scroobius Pip appears in the background of one scene, and then stunning me into like excitement is one scene features a priest played by Reece Shearsmith from the League of Gentlemen, which blew my mind. So that was interesting to see Reece Shearsmith pop up in a Hollywood movie for a couple of minutes. But other than that, not too much to write home about with Venom. Let There Be Carnage, but never mind. One of the other films I saw was the new Ridley Scott movie, big director. Very exciting times. A reunion between Ben Affleck and Matt Damon as writing partners. I don't know if they've written a film together since Good Will Hunting, potentially. Maybe they have done, I'm not sure. But not that I particularly know of. So yeah, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck have returned to script a movie together, and Ridley Scott has directed it, and it's a film called The Last Duel. Have you heard of this? So The Last Duel is a historical drama movie set in 1300s France, and it tells the true story of the last ever trial by combat that was fought in the French courts between Sir Jean de Carouge, played by Matt Damon in an alarming mullet wig and beard, and Jacques Legris, played by Adam Driver. And before we get into it fully, a bit of a sort of trigger warning for the reason for the trial and what's sort of at stake is quite serious sexual assault discussion. So just be aware that I'm going to talk about that for a few minutes. Because Sir Jean de Carouge has accused Jacques Legris of raping his wife, the Lady Marguerite, played by Jodie Comer, one of the best sort of newish actresses that's sort of come out in the past few years. She's amazing, and basically there's a point in the movie where it's said that rape is not considered a crime against a woman in medieval France. It's considered a property crime against her husband, which is horrific, obviously. The thing that is interesting in this movie is that Matt Damon wrote the script for... So, no, I'll say this first, actually. So the movie tells the story of this trial and the events leading up to it 3 times in a row. The first time you see the events through the perspective of Jean de Carouge, played by Matt Damon, the husband of Lady Marguerite. Matt Damon scripted that part of the film. He wrote the script for that bit of the film. Then, in the second third of the movie, you see the events that led up to it and after it from the perspective of Jacques Legris, played by Adam Driver, and Ben Affleck wrote that part of the script and was originally going to play Jacques Legris, but due to some scheduling conflicts, he instead plays Count Pierre, who is sort of a tertiary figure in the movie and has a smaller role. And then in the final third, we see the events from the perspective of Lady Marguerite herself, and that sequence, those scenes, were scripted by Nicole Holofcener, who is a very experienced sort of screenwriter, and Matt Damon and Ben Affleck kind of brought her onto the project so that they could have that sequence in the movie kind of scripted from the perspective of a woman, which I think is pretty important. And it's pretty fascinating because you see, it does mean that you see the rape itself twice in the movie. And it is a really horrible scene. It's important, sort of, I think that people know that before they watch the film. But it is fascinating to see these events and kind of how Matt Damon as the husband, how he views it and how he views himself. Then how Adam Driver's character Jacques Legris sees himself, and then finally, and the movie. And I don't want to spoil how this is because I think it does it in quite a good way, quite a subtle touch. The movie very firmly plants itself in believing the victim, and that the truth, according to Lady Marguerite, is, as far as the movie is concerned, that is the truth of what happened, and the perspective of the two men is just their own sort of inflated sense of self kind of taking over the story a little bit. And then you see from Jodie Comer's character's perspective the true events, and it's quite long as a result. It's like 2.5 hours long to tell this story fully 3 times. But I think it's really important it does that, and particularly that you get that the final half an hour or so where you kind of get the perspective of her is so eye-opening and amazing, and it really sort of gets really interested in the details of how French noble people ran their households and all these different sort of things, and it's brilliant. Basically, I really liked this film. It's not as filled with action as maybe you'd think from a Ridley Scott historical epic. It's not Gladiator or Kingdom of Heaven or anything like that, but it's really well made, well produced, well written, well acted historical drama with this quite fascinating twist of telling this story from different perspectives, and then feels very modern in its telling as a result of the way it sort of shows you the events from Marguerite's perspective at the end. And it's great. It's a really good, it's a proper adult film. It's an 18 definitely, and it's sort of, you've got to have patience and to sort of sit through it, but I think it's quite it's worth it if you can do. But it's not a movie I'm going to watch a second time anytime soon because it is pretty bleak in parts. But yeah. Yeah, he is. I mean, he's definitely. Yeah, and he's definitely one of those, living master filmmakers. If you look at he doesn't hit it out the park every time. He's made his fair share of absolute stinkers, and The House of Gucci might be another one coming soon. But I think The Last Duel is a hit, and is oddly overshadowed. Like the promotional thing for The House of Gucci. Yeah. Well, I think its production was halted by COVID, so they started making it before COVID and then came back to finish it. But I think because of that, he's sort of moved on to the House of Gucci film now. So, and the promotional engine for the House of Gucci film is up and running already. So I think The Last Duel's almost been slightly forgotten as a result, which is sort of unfortunate because it is a really good movie. But Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, for some reason, both decided to have completely wild haircuts in this film, which is interesting. And then they might have done, but I mean, they have. Everyone has a British accent in this movie, so like in terms of historical accuracy, it's not necessarily the best. Would you rather them have French accents? Yeah, well, they've gone with English accents for some reason, but sure. It's an old school historical epic. That's sort of how it is. But yeah, he's got a mullet. Matt Damon can't grow facial hair, which I had no idea about. He can't grow facial hair at all, which is, yeah, he does have a baby face, but he has a beard in this movie that apparently gave him a rash and this horrific mullet. And then like Ben Affleck's got this peroxide blonde Eminem looking haircut, which is equally kind of bonkers. And then Adam Driver was just like, what if I had a sort of long, lanky, greasy hair? And they were like, yep, like in every film you ever do. Yep, absolutely, Adam Driver, we'll do that. But he's great in it, actually. I think Adam Driver's an astonishing actor, and he's brilliant in this. So that's The Last Duel. The final one I want to talk about is the one I was most excited about, but it's actually probably not the best film I saw this weekend. That would go to The Last Duel, I think. But it is the new film in the Halloween franchise, a direct sequel to 2018's Halloween. This is Halloween Kills, directed by David Gordon Green and written by David Gordon Green, Danny McBride and Scott Teems, with a soundtrack score composed by John Carpenter, my absolute favourite man in the world. So I was excited about this. The 2018 Halloween movie is a direct sequel to the original 1978 Halloween and ignores all other sequels from that film. And this movie is a direct sequel to the 2018 Halloween, so we've now got a timeline that goes from 1978's Halloween to the 2018 Halloween to 2021's Halloween Kills, and will culminate with next year's Halloween Ends. But today I want to talk about Halloween Kills. It takes place the same day as Halloween from 2018. So Halloween from 2018 ends with spoilers if you've not seen it yet, but if you're interested, I'm sure you will have done. The 2018 Halloween movie ends with Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie Strode burning a house down with Michael Myers trapped inside and seemingly destined to die. Very early on in this movie, we go back to Jamie Lee Curtis and her daughter and granddaughter are in a pickup truck driving away from the house to take her to a hospital as she's been stabbed in the first film. And while they're driving away from the house, they see a whole fleet of fire engines rushing to the house, and Jamie Lee Curtis is screaming, "No, let him burn!" And all of those firemen don't have their best day on the job to try to save Michael Myers. He doesn't really appreciate their help. And then the film plays out that same night, so it literally is set within the same day as their last film, which is kind of interesting. 2018's Halloween is about Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, having spent 40 years living with the trauma of what happens to her in the first movie. And the movie is, this sounds really pretentious and ridiculous because ultimately it's a slasher movie, but the 2018 Halloween movie is attempting to be an exploration of that character's trauma and grief. This movie, Halloween Kills, takes the focus away from Jamie Lee Curtis's character. She's in it, but she's not the main character by any stretch. And if that movie was about her grief and trauma, this movie is about the town of Haddonfield and their grief and trauma. So it is much more about a mob of people who suddenly find out that Michael Myers has returned and decide that it is now on them because the police have failed. It is their responsibility now to deal with this kind of killer in their midst. And as a result, the film sort of channels all of this energy through the character of Tommy Doyle. Interestingly, Tommy Doyle was in the original Halloween movie. He plays like a 10-year-old boy in the original Halloween film that is being babysat by Jamie Lee Curtis's character. And in this movie, all grown up, he's played by Anthony Michael Hall from The Breakfast Club, but he's now in his 50s. And he gives one of the wildest performances I've seen in a film in a long time. And your ability to enjoy Halloween Kills will come down entirely to whether or not you can kind of get on board with what he is doing, because he is, for better and for worse, the main character of this film. There's a scene that had me laughing quite loudly in the cinema where Jamie Lee Curtis's character Laurie is in the hospital and Tommy Doyle rushes in and starts yelling at her about how Michael's still alive and that she protected him in 1978, so now he's going to protect her. And then he runs off and he's just got this absolutely manic, wild energy that is, I really enjoyed, but you could easily be like, this is silly. What is happening here? And yeah, it's a movie, like I've seen people describe it as like a fan film, and at times it does feel like a fan film. It's very like, they bring back a bunch of characters, they have a bunch of references to the original film. There's a scene where Michael Myers smashes a car window with his hand, and in the original movie there's the same shot where he smashes this car window with his hand, and because they didn't have a budget in the original film, they sellotaped or strapped a wrench to the actor's hand, and if you look carefully in the original movie you can see this wrench attached to the front of his hand, and that's what smashes the window. And in this film, when he smashes a car window, they did it the same way, just to be, they could obviously afford to smash a window properly with modern movie magic, but they used the same technique as like a little hidden Easter egg. So it's very much like trying to please the fans, and as a result I think some fans are like, I don't want to be pleased, I just want you to make a movie. So some people aren't keen on it. I'm a giddy little boy and I really enjoyed all of that nonsense. And yeah, it's not as good as the 2018 one, which I think is a 5-star film. I love the 2018 Halloween, and I think the people who don't like it are forgetting that ultimately this is a slasher movie, and you can't, like, it's better than you can expect a slasher movie to ever be, really. The new one is not as good as that, because it's too silly. There's a whole extended sequence with the mob chasing this man who looks like the Penguin from Batman through a hospital, which just doesn't need to be in the movie at all. But for some reason it is. And like, that bit sort of tested my patience. But other than that, for the rest of it, it's pretty fun. Michael Myers has a cool burnt mask in it, which he's not had before. And he kills probably more people in this film than he's ever killed before. And probably in like the first 15 minutes, he murders more people than he did in the last film. So I liked it. I love stupid Halloween films, and yeah, I enjoyed Halloween Kills, so there we go. So that's me. That's the 3 films I watched this week. Venom, Let There Be Carnage, 3.5 out of 5. The Last Duel, 4.5 out of 5. And Halloween Kills, 4 out of 5. Boom. Cheers. No, they might not be for you. I mean, the Last Duel is a very good film, but it's quite, I mean, it's, yeah, but it's a great movie. Right, before we go, I've just got a little MyTube I wanted to share with you if you've got time. This is an interesting video. I can't decide whether to tell you before you watch it what it is, or whether to just let you see. I think I'm just going to let you see it and see if you can work out what it is. It's actually been re-uploaded because the person who uploaded it originally has taken it down because it has proven to be slightly controversial, but I still think it's an interesting thing to see. I'm going to send it to you on Facebook now, and we can both watch it. Sorry. Our Facebook Messenger history is just a series of YouTube links. It's weird. Yeah. Are you ready to press play? Jamie Costa is, well, I'll explain that soon, but he's nobody you'll necessarily have heard of. Yeah. You can do. Let me know. Let me know what you think it is as it goes, and see how quickly you get to the base of what it is. Are you ready to press play? Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. There you go. Yeah. Right? Hmm. I think he gets those quieter moments, like, as well as the manic stuff. He's kind of nailing his voice when he's a bit more quiet and withdrawn. So he's a guy who does, like, apparently he's been uploading Robin Williams impressions for years, and he sort of filmed this test footage as almost like to pitch himself as being the person who should star in a Robin Williams film if they made one. And then apparently it leaked, so he uploaded it himself to kind of get ahead of the leak, and then it ended up being a bit controversial because idiots were sort of sending it repeatedly to Robin Williams' daughter, and I don't know why you would think that she would want to see that. So he's taken it down now, but obviously it's kind of gone throughout the internet. But it just sort of set the internet on storm earlier this week because, well, I've seen people saying it's a bad impression, but I think they're just being. I think you can't deny that it's a good sort of. Yeah, there's a bit right at the end where it's just like another energy that he has as well that nails it exactly. Somebody sent me this and I watched it when I first woke up at like 5 a.m. and it confused me. I didn't know what I was seeing. I thought it was him. There you go. Yeah. No, not because he's trying to be Robin Williams, but like people kept sending it to Zelda Williams, Robin Williams' daughter, who had to tweet and be like, I don't really want to see, like, it's very well done, but I don't really want to see this footage over and over again of my dad on the worst day of his life kind of thing. I know. I don't think Jamie Costa's done anything wrong by making it. I think that it's people sort of being like, oh, I know what Robin Williams' daughter will want to see all day is this footage. So I think I saw a post from him saying that, he kind of wished it hadn't gone out there like that. It was meant to be kind of an internal private thing he was just doing as like a proof of concept. But I think it's pretty... I've watched it like 5 times probably because I just find it really fascinating. And I've also noticed I think it's filmed in a similar way to some of the sort of slightly overly sentimental comedy dramas that Robin Williams ended up making a fair amount of, which is also interesting. With that kind of... Yeah, the music being... Yeah, it feels like Jack or something. Yeah. Yeah, and also the thought I would have as well as that is like somebody will already have sent this to Zelda Williams. Like I don't need to be the person that sends this through to his daughter. She will see it. It's not as if she's not going to know about it. So let's just leave her be. It's ridiculous. But the footage itself is, I don't know. I think he absolutely nails him. Yeah, it's like there's a whole little subculture of like fan films though, where like bizarrely high production values on like I think it's people who live in LA and are, like have friends who have access to sets and stuff, and they can kind of nip in and get things done. But no, it's pretty. I think it's fairly well done. If they do ever make a Robin Williams biopic, then maybe, yeah. Jamie Costa. I had not heard of him until this week, but yeah, there you go. Yeah, good. The only other thing I'd show you is the did you see the new trailer they put out last night for the new Batman movie, Robert Pattinson? Do you want to quickly check that out and then call it a day? All right. I'll send you the link just so we're watching the same video. Because I've got it in my history, the official upload from... There it is. There you go. Yes, please. All right, you ready to press play? All right, this is the Batman. 3, 2, 1, go. So who do you think this is? Well, in the diner, in the restaurant. Nope. Oh, zooming in on a coffee cup. The Riddler. No, it was Joel Schumacher with Jim Carrey. Val Kilmer, yeah. This looks like a very different take on the Riddler, though. No. No, it's Paul Dano from Little Miss Sunshine, in fact. You know, the no, you don't actually see him in this trailer, but it is Zoe Kravitz, Catwoman, Colin Farrell, Penguin, Andy Serkis as Alfred. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, it does, doesn't it? No. He's got you. They're definitely going for the grittiest, darkest Batman they can do. I don't know, Bruce Wayne can have floppy hair. I don't think Bruce Wayne has like a set haircut. I mean, if that's the main thing you'd have a problem with, I think that you should definitely have an open mind. Yeah, well, I think this is largely inspired by. Actually, I don't know what it's inspired by, but like Frank Miller's Year One is like definitely a look in the visuals, and that's a very, very dark Batman comic where Catwoman's a prostitute, I think, and stuff like this. There's the danger that they go too dark, but and the director Matt Reeves has made some excellent films in his time, including some of the recent Planet of the Apes films and stuff like that. So interesting. It's out next March. I'm sure we'll both watch it and get back to everyone on how it is. Yeah. So there we go. That's just sort of a little mini, probably not that mini anymore, but like there's a Culture Bucket sort of interim episode for you, some movie recommendations to maybe check out. And, we're going to take a little break, but we'll come back bigger, better, stronger than ever with some changes that hopefully will be good, that people will like. And do still send in your top 2020 lists, because we're going to be 2021. Top culture from 2021 lists, because we're still going to be doing that episode. Our favourite things from this year, so let us know about that. And, have a great sort of time. Yeah. Or just yep. Thanks. Yes. So thanks everyone. Love you very much. Yeah, and go and tell your friends. Be like, oh, my favourite podcast is having a whole sort of change. Isn't that you should listen to them because they're so good. And you should go and review them on Apple Podcasts, and they'd appreciate it if you did that. So tell your friends to do that and do it yourself. If not more. Just go back and listen to your favourites as well. Just listen to them again, and sort of broadcast them over sort of speakers in parks and things like that. So, we'll be back. We'll be back. It'll be good. Thank you so much. Love you very much. Bye. Thank you. Bye. 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 Bye.